Okay, everyone, here's the next segment, and we're going to play Jeopardy for the Xbox 360. Let's see how we do here, shall we? See if we can win Mikey a bundle. Oh, man. Why did I do that? I just want to play Jeopardy. I don't care about playing online.
This is Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestants. Player one.
Yeah!
Player two. Player three. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thank you, Johnny Gilbert. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Let's take you right now into the Jeopardy round. Clues are worth $200 to $1,000 in these categories. I need more space. Literary pets. Historic London. Board game history. E for effort. And flowers. Where do we begin, player one? Charles Darrow created this game in the Depression, while dreaming of fame, fortune, and his summers at the Jersey Shore.
What is Monopoly?
Let's hear it, player one. Good. We return to a game imported from India is called both Chutes and Snakes and These.
What is ladders? What are ladders?
Okay, player one. That's correct. Player one. While out of work, Alfred Butts created this word game by mixing anagrams with crossword puzzles. Okay, player one.
Is Scrabble.
That's correct. You get Hasbro says this game was invented by a wealthy couple while aboard their luxury boat.
What is life?
Let's hear it, player one.
No? What is Yahtzee?
That's right. Way to go. Player one. In the 1950s, Parker Brothers took a French game called Conquest of the World and turned it into this.
What is Clue?
Okay, player one.
Arith?
Yeah!
You get to pick again, player one.
Let's have E for effort for 200.
It's the distance within which a sound can be heard.
What is an echo?
Let's hear it, player one.
Or earshot?
Yeah!
We return. One of Sinbad's voyages took him to this graveyard long sought by big game hunters and Tarzan movie villains. Let's hear it, player one.
What is Elvis Graveyard?
That is correct. You again. The CFL's Eskimos call this city home. It's player one.
What is Edmonton?
Hey, you're right.
Yeah! Woo!
Please pick the last Tudor monarch to rule England. Yes, player one? That's correct. Player one. Peter Schaffer's 1975 Tony Award-winning play. It's player one.
What is Enchanted April?
Nope. Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? Here's what we wanted. Equus.
Okay.
Please pick again. Holding reserves through winter, these globular underground buds let flowers like narcissus bloom early. Okay, player one.
What are bulbs?
Right. Player one. This large group of flowering plants attracts serious devotees like those who pay $10,000 for one Peruvian plant. Yes, player one.
What are roses?
Nope. Sorry. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? Player three? No, that's not right. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? Player two?
Orchids.
Yes. Player two, start us. This Mayflower of the buttercup family has a C version too.
What is a cucumber?
Yes, player one? That's not it.
Did that wrong.
Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? The correct response is the anemone. Player two, back to you for our next selection. A bouquet of a dozen cinquefoils ought to have a total of this many petals.
What is...
Okay, player one. Good for you.
Yeah! Woo!
All right, let's go. L. vulgare is the oxide type of this common flower. Player one.
What is a daisy?
You are correct. Player one. You can visit several of these historic structures like Kensington and Buckingham.
What are palaces?
Okay, player one. Right. Selecting Regent's Park was a hunting ground for this 16th century king who never hunted without tiring 8 or 10 horses.
Who is Henry VIII?
Yes, player one. Correct. Player one. Answer, the Daily Double. You are in first place. The clue. Famous men who orated at Hyde Park's Speaker's Corner include Friedrich Engels and this 1848 Engels co-author.
Who's Karl Marx?
Congratulations, you're still in first, player one. Player one. Arthur Wellesley, the first Duke of this, was known as a soldier, but had an eye for art, as you can see at Apsley House. Yes, player one?
What is Wellington?
Yep. Player one. According to Shakespeare, these conflicts began with a confrontation in the Temple Gardens.
What are the Wars of the Roses?
Let's hear it, player one. Good. Player one. At KFC, you can lunch on chicken. At KSC, this place, you can lunch with an astronaut. Yes, player
What
one?
is Kennedy Space
You are correct. Player one? This Mattel doll became an astronaut in 1965, perhaps inspiring the young Sally Ride.
Who's Barbie?
Okay, player one? Good. You again. Now available again, Quisp, which has a space alien mascot, is a type of this breakfast food.
What is cereal? Breakfast cereal.
Yes, player one? Good for you. Select. This TV series wasn't about the Swiss Family Robinson, but the Space Family Robinson.
What is Lost in Space?
Player 1? Correct.
Yeah! Woo!
Player 1. This 1956 film was a sci-fi version of The Tempest. Robbie the Robot was inspired by Ariel. Okay, Player 1.
Is Forbidden Planet.
Right.
Where is that?
You again, Player 1. The title beast of his The Hound of the Baskervilles is actually the pet of Mr. Jack Stapleton.
Who's Arthur Conan Doyle?
Yes, Player 1. Good for you. You again, Player 1. Harry Potter uses his snowy owl named this to transfer messages. It's Player 1. Hey, you're right. Player 1. Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings' The Yearling centers on this type of pet.
What is a deer?
Okay, Player 1.
Yeah!
Player 1. Little Swan, Little Bear, and Greenfinch are some of the goats of this Johanna Spiri lass.
Who is Heidi?
Yes, Player 1. That's correct.
Yeah! Woo!
Let's have a look at the $1,000 clue. A poetic Eliot feline who has lived many lives in succession is named for this 5th book of the Old Testament.
What is Deuteronomy?
Okay, Player 1. That is correct.
Yeah! Woo!
The selection will be yours, Player 3, when we return from this break. And we have 2 daily doubles awaiting you in these categories. Ain't we got pun? U.S. cities. SNL actors in the movies. Questions from a 1927 quiz book. Insect invasion. And Roman art. Player 3, you start.
U.S. cities 400. Okay.
This New Mexico artist colony town's Pueblo was chosen as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1992. It's Player 1.
What is Santa Fe?
Oh, sorry. Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? Here's the correct response. Taos.
Oh, Taos. Okay.
All right, here with the clue is Jimmy.
If you're feeling a little rocky, run up these stairs to visit this city's museum at Benjamin Franklin Parkway.
What is Philadelphia?
Yes, Player 1. That's correct. A lot of Mormons settled this city in 1855, but thought it was too much of a gamble and abandoned it in 1857.
What is Las
It's
Vegas?
Player 1. Right. You get to... This Oklahoma city is known for its Art Deco buildings, including the Phillips Oil Philcade.
What is Tulsa?
Let's hear it, Player 1.
Yeah!
Select
Yeah!
answer. The first of the 2 daily doubles. And you're in the lead now. Here is your clue. Granite works sprung up in and around this state capital, using stone from Bahrain, a few miles away.
What is... I have it between two of them. I'm just gonna say what is Concord.
Second place now, Player 1. We're talking about Montpelier.
Oh, in Vermont. I'll get it back.
Player 1. A scholarly paper on punning restaurant names was titled Do Drop In and This Vegetable Entertain You.
What is lettuce?
It's Player 1. Yes. Player 1. A presidential exhibit at the National Postal Museum was called This to the Chief.
What is mail?
It's Player 1. Good. Player one. About comparing a pair of Beatles, a punchline in Master and Commander is, choose the lesser of two these. Let's hear it, player one.
What are weevils?
Yes.
Yeah! Woo!
Player 8 months pregnant, Jolie Fisher did a cabaret act entitled From Here to This.
What is maternity?
It's player one. Right you are. We Answer, the second Daily Double. You are and the Daily Double clue. Punning on Glenn Miller, a 1985 film with Gina Davis as a vampire was called This 65000.
What is central? I don't know.
Second place now, player one. The correct response is Transylvania.
I should have gone with that. It's okay.
Player one, back to you. Responsible for millions of cases of malaria each year, the Anopheles variety of this insect is one deadly bug.
What is a mosquito?
Yes, player one? Yes. Player one, about 300,000 people in Africa suffer from sleeping sickness, spread by the tsetse variety of this insect.
What's a fly?
It's player one. Right you are. Player one. There are 20,000 known species of these insects, including social, parasitic, and killer types.
What are bees?
Yes, player one? That is correct. You get puny nickname for various insects of the family Sciaridae. Let's hear it, player one.
What is a gnat?
Right you are. You again, player one. Of the 1 million species of insects, more than 300,000 are of this type, including the ladybug. Okay, player one.
What are beetles?
Right.
Yeah! Woo!
Player one. Article 10 of this international organization's covenant implies that an attack on one is an attack on all.
What is
Yes, player one?
NATO?
Sorry, that's wrong. Anyone else? Here's the correct response. League of Nations.
Oh well.
Player one. Alfred E. Smith and William Gibbs McAdoo were two of the candidates for this party's presidential nomination in 1924. Yes, player one?
What is the Democratic Party?
Yes. Player one. This cabinet department is in charge of the enforcement of prohibition. Player one?
What is commerce?
No. Any other takers? Here's what we wanted. Treasury.
Oh well.
Select the Tacna-Arica boundary line dispute involves Chile and this neighbor to the north.
What is Peru?
Okay, player one. Yes. Player one. The present presiding officer of the U.S. Senate is this vice president. Okay, player one.
Who is Calvin? Oh, it's not Calvin Coolidge. Who is Charles D. Dawes?
Right. You get to pick again, player one. Here's Kelly. She'll show you.
This giant amphitheater was one of the great achievements of Roman art.
Let's hear it, player one.
What is
Good. You get to carved in Rome, the Pietà is the only work signed by this sculptor.
Pieta? Who is Michelangelo?
Let's hear it, player one. Good.
Yeah!
Select. In Rome's Cerasi Chapel is Caravaggio's painting of the conversion of this saint. Okay, player one.
Who's saying, Paul?
Yeah!
Player one. A fresco by Raphael shows Pope Leo I pleading with this ruthless barbarian to spare Rome.
Ruthless barbarian.
Player one.
Who is Hamilton?
No.
Oh.
Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? Here's what we were looking for. Attila. Player one. Legend has it that Mark Antony's wife stabbed this orator's tongue after his death. Let's hear it, player one.
I'm going to say who is Cassius.
Sorry, that's wrong. Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? Okay, player three.
Brutus.
No. Any other takers? Yes, player two. Good for you. Player two, where do we start? Wayne Campbell.
Who is Mike Myers?
It's player one. Hey, you're right. Okay, Axel Foley.
Who is Eddie Murphy?
Okay, player one. Good for you. Player one. Joliet Jake Blues. Let's hear it, player one. That is correct. Player one. MacGruber.
Who is Will Forte?
Let's hear it, player one. That's it. And the last clue for $2,000. Mrs. Primat Conehead.
Who is Jane Curtin?
Yes, player one. Right you are. Oh, I'm sorry, player three. You'll not be progressing to Final Jeopardy. Now, Final Jeopardy coming right up right now with this category. 19th century inventions. So, what's your wager? Let's see what it is. Here's the clue. One description of it said, its spokes look like cobwebs. They're after the fashion of those on the newest bicycles.
What is the favorite?
Did you come up with the correct response? And that will set you back.
So you end up with nothing.
And your response? And this correct response will add how much to your score?
$5,000 this game. Not bad.
Player one, congratulations to you. Good game, everyone, and thank you so much for playing.